Hey all, Andy here, helping you build a career you love. Great to have you back to the live show, our regularly scheduled Thursday. Today we're going to be talking about productivity tips. So get in the chat, say hi, tell me who you are, what you do, where you're from, what you need. Put some question marks in front of your questions so we can find them. Because those of you who are here with me live, we're going to go to the Q&A when we're done. I want to talk productivity. When we're shooting this live, it's mid-January 2023. And I've got some tips that I siphoned out. 4 of the 5 tips I'm going to give you today, I siphoned out of the Productivity Challenge. If you were fortunate enough to see that with me live every single day last week, awesome. This is really going to be a nice set of reminders. If you didn't catch any of that, don't worry about it. You can, you can enroll in it if you want to, but you'll be able to follow along because these tips are in and of themselves a whole lesson, 5 whole lessons in and of themselves. So I'm really looking forward to this. And just as a show of hands, as I say hello to the folks who've joined me, and did you notice my mom was the first one online? Mom, thanks for being my best cheerleader. Love you. And everybody else who's in the community, Adam Stark, Donna, Joy, Kara's always got my back, Kurt, Bobby, Lee, Cherry, Laura, that's moving forward, Michael Moore, Mathira, Shaquilia, Elena, Michael Tierney, and everybody else. Great to have you. And just show of hands, who saw some, or I would love to know who saw all of it, because that was, we were live for 12 hours more, I think, and then there was about an hour and a little over an hour each day of actual teaching. So if you've had a chance to take that in, if you are here with me live, the replays are up until the next 24 hours. Let me know if you have, because I want to get right into this, but I always like to see, who's taken it in. All right, so I'm pulling 5 lessons that I'm going to give you today. We also have a couple of free downloads. Right now, we're giving away the daily planning tool. It's the 1-page sheet that shows you how to plan your day. It's in 3 columns. I talk with you about how I plan my morning, my afternoon, my evening, what I do at each times a day. That's free. Grab that right now. At the end, I have another download for you that's going to help you with skill building. Yes, lots of people saw it. Shakura, let's see who else. Oh, what's going on with my chat there? Shakura, great to see you. Glad you caught it, and a whole bunch of others. I love it. Moving forward, baby girl, so great. Elena caught a good part of it. Joy caught it. Okay, great, and Pamela Moore too. All right, so I want to get in. First tip is how I think about the ideas that I create I do it on a daily basis. Some people do it on a monthly basis. Some people don't do it but an annual basis. But when you want to figure out where you want to take your life, your team, your business, your whatever, I talked with you about creating lists. And we have primary lists that drive the things that we do. I have a master list, a quarterly list, a monthly list, a weekly list. I don't use a daily to-do list because I use the calendar on a given day to identify what it is that I want to get done, when I'm going to do it, what's going to be done. But I want to talk, the tip is what goes on those lists. And the best way to come up with projects, ideas, directives, or anything else that you're going to do, it sounds simple, but not a lot of people do it, is by asking yourself questions. Your greatest ideas will come from the questions that you ask yourself. I often say your greatest opportunities will be found in the sounds of other people's complaints. Right? You solve their problems and you're their hero. And that's true for yourself when you're trying to grow your business. What is it? What problems do you want to be solving? What projects will solve those problems and those kind of things? So I want to make sure that you have a way of brainstorming on a frequent basis. If you happen to see the Productivity Challenge, I talked about this, as I referred to it as my excellence planning. I ask myself 5 questions each morning. For my purposes, I ask myself, what can I do to improve the service to my customers? What can I do to improve the service to my community? So people like yourself, some of you are paying customers, some of you are not, and that's okay, but you're part of my community, and I love to have you, and how can I better serve you? Number 3, how can I better market and sell my company's services? Number 4, how do I optimize the systems I use to streamline the building, the development, the delivery, the support, the emailing, the whatever it might be, my systems. And then number 5 is, what should I stop doing? You have analogous questions like that for whatever you do. Maybe your community is your team. Maybe it's your networking group. Maybe your customers could be an internal customer. It could be your actual company's customers. So you have some analogous questions for yourself that you can ask. Whatever those are, I would identify those and then make sure that you are frequently revisiting those, because the ideas, the brainstorming comes from in the wake of the prompt. So make sure you're doing that. Your greatest ideas will come from continually stimulating your answers and identifying answers to questions that you set for yourself. That's number 1. Number 2 is, I want to talk about keys to running a great week. So now, when you identify your ideas, along with those ideas, there are projects that go along with implementing them. So if I'm going to do something to improve my support of my community, last week, what did I do? I had an entire 5-day productivity challenge. I offered it to you free. That's a project that was specific to the 5 days last week, plus actually it was all the stuff leading up, right? Because I had to circulate my messages and my emails. I had to facilitate it with more emails. I facilitated it by delivering the teaching, by answering your questions. We continued it on this week, if you're in the middle of it with me live, with more emails. Today you got an email, if you happen to be live, on energy and all the different things that I do to manage my energy. All of that is part of a singular effort that goes into, what can I do to better support my community? Being that it's the beginning of the year, as we're doing this live, goal setting, productivity, organizational skills, these kind of things are very thematic. So we wanted to do that for you. It's normally a paid program, but it was something I could do to improve my support of my community by offering it free. Right, but a project goes into this week or weeks that I've delivered this over the, let's say, probably 5 total weeks that it takes to deliver a 5-day workshop, right? So when I plan each of those weeks, I have something specific like the workshop. I have other activities that I do every week, like a status meeting with my team, or a digest for you on Tuesday, or a podcast for you on Tuesday and Friday, or a new YouTube video every Tuesday. There's a host of things that I do that are short-term, mid-term, ongoing, long-term. I'm in the middle of writing a book, so I write every day, those kind of things. The key to running a successful week, so the tip here is, the key to running a great week has these 4 types of activities on it, and you want to get visibility to these 4 activities. What are they? Things that are due now. So what's due now for me? Just as I was giving you the example, we have a productivity workshop that we're continuing to deliver. This is the kind of the final live show of it. As you're watching this live, that's due this week, right? But there's a project associated with it. And so when I say due now, I mean those unique efforts that I'm doing on a project basis that need to be delivered in this 5-day window. That's number 1. Number 2, are there intermediary steps or something that I will be doing soon? There is. There's a job searching workshop that I'm going to be delivering in a number of weeks from now, except that even though I might not be delivering that for a month, there's still things that are due on a weekly basis in order for me to make sure I can deliver it a month from now. These are intermediary steps, or perhaps it's something that's due next week. So we have things that are due for a workshop we're going to deliver a month from now. I have items that are due next week so the team can do what they need to do with them, and so on. So I have to keep my eye on those. And then there are one-time only or recurring activities. What could these be? Maybe it's a standing meeting that you have with your team. Maybe it's a doctor appointment. Maybe, like for me, I do a Tuesday digest. I do that every week. I do a Thursday digest. I do that every week, kind of thing. Same kind of thing. Podcasts I mentioned, the YouTube videos, and so on. I do coaching sessions and resume reviews. Those are one-time things, even though I don't always know on a set date or time when I'm going to be doing them, but I have an inventory of those. And then there are the skills that I want to be building. So if you don't spend time building the skills that you want to build, you're never going to attain the goals you want to attain. So what do I mean by this? Well, there are skills for me to better deliver a project, a workshop. Maybe I could get better at my marketing of it or the email messaging. Those are skills, copywriting, social media text copywriting. There could be other things, the delivery of it. Do I need practice in the communication? If you are a business analyst and you want to become a project manager and that's a goal, you're going to have to work on your team leadership skills, your planning skills, your customer service skills, and so on. The growth doesn't magically happen. It rarely happens during and planned during an 8 to 5, 9 to 5 kind of day. You're oftentimes going to need to work on these somewhere. Maybe that's your breaks, maybe that's the morning, maybe that's the evening. But if you're not planning the skill development, you're not going to get it done. So there's 4 items that I do. Now I showed you in the challenge, but for those of you that didn't see it, I use this, the way I do it is I have this Best Self Co-Planner. That's just what I happen to be using right now. I've been using it for quite a while. And in this Best Self Co-Planner, there is a week at a glance. So there's 2 pages that show me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then next to those 2 pages, there are blank pages with dots. 2 blank pages. This is where I inventory all of this stuff. On one of those 2 pages, I draw 3 columns. On the left column, I put the stuff that's due now. In the middle column, I put the stuff that is intermediary. And in the right column, I put numbers 3 and 4, the ongoing stuff, the skill building, and all that other stuff. And the reason I do it that way is because I want to know what's dependent project-wise, that's generally unique, generally a larger effort, usually has more dependencies or dependencies upon dependencies or things I need to follow up on or do or make sure I'm interacting with the team more frequently on. I want to see that first. Then there's intermediary steps. What do I need to move along? So on my intermediary steps, there's other things related to that future job searching workshop that I'm going to have, so that I know what needs to be done this week and I never lose sight of it. And then there's all the other stuff like my Tuesday digests, my Tuesday video, my Tuesday and Thursday, or my Tuesday and Friday podcasts, and so on, and all that's in the 3rd column. So the keys to running a great week have these 4 items inventoried in them. Now, if you want to learn more about what the skills are that I recommend that you build and how to build them and the sequence in which to build them and actually exactly what I do to plan these skills and how I go about what my learning routines are and all that, if you're with me live on January 12th when we're doing this, on January 13th, tomorrow, I have a skill building session with members of my leadership coaching program, and I'm going to teach them all of this. So that's what's in store for tomorrow. So that's something that you can either join me live, or if you're watching this on a replay after January 13th, it's already been recorded for you, and you can get it in the library. All right, so that's keys to running a great week. Now, I've been at this, almost 13 minutes. If you're liking this, I'm trying to do this more often, but if you're liking this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, right? Please do. I don't want you to miss anything. I offer up live shows or recorded videos every Tuesday and Thursday. And also, send the message to YouTube that you're enjoying it. Click the like button. Make sure to share it. A lot of people need help with their organizational skills and their career building skills and their job searching, and that's what I talk about every week, as you know, multiple times. All right, now, we got a good week plan. We move all of the stuff I just talked about into our calendar. And we do that, the week before we're actually going to execute it. We do it the night before we're going to execute it the next day. So we're continually planning. This inventory gets sprinkled into the schedule. What gets scheduled gets done. We put it in our plan. Again, I transfer it from the blank pages where I created my 3 columns. I move it into the week, and I set when I'm going to do certain things. I know that the Tuesday Digest goes out at 6:30 Central Standard Time on Tuesday, except I have an activity on Monday that says review it for the final time. Make sure the video is scheduled. Make sure that, Kara has the social media stuff that she's going to be allocating to the different players. All of that stuff is on my calendar. Monday night I review it, or Monday it needs to be done. So the week before or the weekend before, I know that on Monday I need to make sure I do all those things. And then there's times throughout the day where I plan to do that. Then when I plan the whole week, and then I plan each day, and then each night before I go into the next day, I review what needs to be done, when it needs to be done. But I'm going to give you these 5 tips on how to run an effective day. The first one is ditch the frog. Don't eat the frog in the morning. Why would you want to wake up and taste something badly? I don't care what the first thing is you do in the morning. I want the first thing you do in the morning to be optimized based on time, what needs to be done, when it needs to be done. We also talked about planning according to your energy. So for me, in the morning, after I go through my morning routine, right? Your morning routine might be coffee, shower, commute. It might be yoga class, meditation, play with the dogs, or read, or whatever. My morning routine has various things where I get up and we take care of the dogs. I meditate, I envision my day, and I go through all that other good stuff. But basically, the first hard act that I do is I write. I'm writing right now. This is a little different because I'm writing a book, and I'm not always writing a book, right? So the first thing that I do is I have a block of writing. That's not eating the frog for me. That's like I can't wait to get to my desk so I can write some words, right? And I have either an hour long, no less than an hour, but an hour long block, an hour and a half, or 2 hours, or 2 hours and 15 minutes, or whatever it is. But do something that aligns to what you need. Now, the reason that I like writing in the morning is I want to make sure I get my writing word count quota in, right? Yeah, I'm on a word count, right? I'm on a pitch count and a word count. I need to hit a quota to know that I'm making progress. The other thing is I don't want that writing to be stolen from me, so I don't want to plan it throughout the day when something else might interrupt it, even though I'm pretty good at controlling those things. It also gives me energy, but it also requires a great deal of creativity. I've tinkered over time and noticed that I am most creative in the morning, first thing, so because it's closer to when I've had a chance to sleep. I'm not only well rested, but things have probably percolated, marinated, or whatever you want to call it. And I have a cadence to it because I want to write at the same time every single day. And what that does is, because I'm touching the words, the book, the whatever frequently enough, it's continually running in my subconscious. It has a 24-hour clock kind of thing. I know it works for me. For you, it could be the workout. For you, it could be, I want to answer all my emails. That's fine. Just do whatever it is that's going to get you off and running fast. Second thing is cue the environment. So going back to my writing example, and whether it's writing a book or writing anything, or whether it's sitting down and getting ready for a Zoom meeting, what I like to do is I obsess over the starting line. So I want to be ready to do whatever it is I'm going to do, whenever it is I'm going to do it. So if it's the first thing in the morning, I've readied the environment the night before, meaning my desk is clear. I have a writing logbook that is sitting over there. The writing logbook is sitting right next to me. I know exactly what writing session this is. I know what I'm going to write about. I know where exactly in the book it is. And so I'm ready to go with the outline. That's cueing the environment. That's just being ready so that when the clock starts and it says 5 o'clock, start writing, I can immediately start writing. I don't have to think about, well, where am I? What was I doing? Do I have to reread yesterday's pages? And so on. If you've got a Zoom meeting, do you have the agenda ready? Do you know the participants? Do you know the goal? Do you know what's due for you? Or do you just show up and be like, okay, well, what's what? That's not a cued environment, right? Sometimes you're cueing the environment for somebody else. Here's the agenda. Well, here's what we're going to talk about, and so on. So whatever it is, I do silly stuff. Like I have a diffuser sitting right here. I want to make sure the diffuser's filled and the oils are, I don't want to deal with that in the morning, right? Kind of thing. And then I transitioned several times this morning from when I started writing, then I wrote a digest, then I did something else, then I looked at a product, then I did some service in the Milewalk Academy, then I talked to Kara, then I did something else, then I got ready for the show, and I'm doing all these transitions. Well, when I wanted to get ready for the show, I need a camera, I need the tripod, I need the lights, I need the whatever. Well, all that was ready on my work table before I got up this morning, because it was ready, so I don't have to go in the cupboard and pull this out and get this set up and do all that. Right, the environment was cued. It's just about being ready so that you're not burning a lot of time getting your environment ready. You waste time, you slow it down, it throws you off kilter. So whatever it is you're going to do, you want that environment to be ready. You want to go for the morning run, what's cueing the environment? Shoes are out, socks are out, shirt, bottoms. And as a bonus, you could lay it out in the figure of a little person like I do, or I used to do when I was 3 years old, which I think I showed you or wrote you about. Okay, so you get cue in the environment. Then I work the calendar. So I'm not looking off a list. While I have a weekly inventory of stuff, I never use a to-do list. I never use a to-do list, and in the booklet what I do is I have an inventory of activities that need to be done that day, but I don't run my day from that list. I use that list to put them in the calendar. If it says review the Tuesday digest on Monday, there's an activity on this blank page that says to do that, but there is a slot on the calendar that says 3:30 to 3:45. Review, digest, check video, schedule it, this, that, and the other thing. Slack Kara to make sure she knows what she's, everything's in order, and so on, right? And so I work my day according to the calendar. I know what deliverables need to be done in the slot they need to be done, not that they just need to be done. And then the calendar is planned based on my most important tasks. Well, the digest itself is a routine task. It's not my most important task for that day. There's going to be something else that'll supersede that. That's why that's being done at 3:30 or 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock kind of thing. And then the transitions. So I said I transitioned a number of times already today. At each transition, what I did was I looked at, so when I got done with my writing block, I want to park that thought mentally. I want to park that work mentally. I want to make sure I put a little bow on it to know what I just did, evaluate what just happened, let it go, and then think forward into what am I about to do. I went from writing the book to writing a digest that you will get next week on Tuesday. And I already had some of the digest written, which I wrote last week, except I didn't finish it, so I needed to finish it. So between the time I went from the book writing to the Tuesday digest writing, I stopped for a minute, I got up, I made sure the dogs were in order. Then what I did was I sat back down, I looked at what it was that I just did. I looked at the word count, I looked at what the subject matter was. I made sure that even though I'll plan it tonight, tomorrow I know I need to pick up here. I made sure that was marked. All that's done. Then I just kind of shut my eyes. I thought about, okay, I need to finish the Tuesday digest. I'm going to write it to completion. I'm going to review it. I'm going to send it to Kara. That's victory. All that took me about 22 minutes to finish the whole thing because I didn't need to write the whole thing. But I got it to her. I made sure it was in order. All that was done. I had another break. Then, right, and I'm thinking about parking, I'm finishing, I'm parking, I'm thinking forward, what's the goal, what's victory look like, what just happened, was it done, yes, check, 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 right? And so what happens is, as you're able to go through your transitions throughout the day, give yourself a breather, close your eyes for 90 seconds, 2 minutes, tap your meridians, do jumping jacks, I don't care, run the stairs. Anything that's going to get you done with one thing and in motion and with intention to do and complete the next thing you're going to do. What that does is it lets go of your stress. It gets your mindset focused on the next activity and the likelihood that you will be able to get that activity done if you're in the right mindset and what? The environment was cued. I already had that. I already knew where it was. I already had any notes I needed in my booklet or any other stray thoughts I had yesterday were labeled in my calendar for that. Okay, this is really big. We accumulate a lot of stress in between activities. I love what I'm doing right now with you here. We're live. We're going to be done with this. I'm going to go through the transition to just park what I did, even though I loved every minute of it, kind of thing. You still accumulate stress. I'm sitting here bouncing on my Swiss ball, right, kind of thing. So I'm getting stress in my bum. When I'm typing, I'm getting stress in my forearms, kind of thing. So you want to make sure that you're letting go of that stuff. And then you need to reflect at the end of the day so that you can collect what you did, recognize and let it register. Let me give you a little story. Yesterday morning, I had one of the worst writing sessions of the 30 writing sessions that I've had so far with this book. Yesterday was one of the roughest ones. And it, you know, I wrote and wrote and wrote, and this is a really hard book to write. And it's not just hard to write, everything is hard to write. And nothing about writing this particular book is easy. And this particular section was complicated, and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. And I know I'm gonna rectify anything that I did, and I'm gonna breeze through it a number of times over, but yesterday was about writing. It was about production. It was not about polishing, editing, making it, you know, Hemingway-like prose or anything like that. It was get the words down. And it really didn't, I felt beaten up after I was done. And I looked at the word count, and it was 1,440 words, which isn't a lot of words, but it's a fair amount of words. And if you wrote 1,000 words a day, Interview Intervention is a 33,000 word book. The book I'm writing now is about a 90,000 word book. So it's 3 interview interventions. So I was feeling just beaten up after I was done. This sounds silly, but that's how I was feeling. It doesn't mean I was right or wrong. It's just how I was feeling. So I stopped, I looked, and I thought, okay, I wrote a new section, and I was able to get nearly 1,500 words in. That's pretty good. So that helped me. And then when I revisited it at the end of the day, and I thought about where were my victories, when you've accomplished something great in your life, how many easy days do you actually remember? Right? None, probably. Not any. Right? Not if it was something that you achieved that was of great height. This was another one of those. And what it did for me was it let me know that I could get through that. I pounded through it. I fought through it. And I still did it. And it's days like that that you draw on, whatever it is. You're running a marathon, the days that you struggle to run, the days that you struggle to get out of bed. That's what this is like. The reflection is what reminds you that you did it that day, because you don't always feel that. And if you don't reflect, not only is it harder to feed yourself the thoughts you need, but you carry it into the next day feeling beat up. So this is a big honking deal. All right, so this is my running your tips for the day. Don't eat the frog, cue the environments, work the calendar, watch your transitions, and make sure that you reflect. All right, next tip. Projects, minimum viable products. This is code for action bias. Get the damn thing up, living and breathing. So what do? We decide what we want that project to be. We set the date. We design to cost. What does that mean? I'm going to have a workshop in 4 weeks. It's going to be whatever I can get done between now and the 4 weeks from now when I deliver it. You do it, and then you iterate. What do a lot of procrastinators do, or people who simply can't get, even if you're not a procrastinator, but you can't seem to put a bow on the product, project, or whatever? We have that scope creep, that creeping elegance, we call it. Oh, it would be better if I could just add this in. Sometimes we have clients and customers who ask us to do that, right? And we're constantly increasing the scope, and what does that do? It keeps pushing the deadline. If you want to get something done, you don't increase, you set the date and you do not increase scope. You set the date and you stick to it. So and then you design to cost, which in this analogy is time. So if you want to get something done, you set the date and you modify the scope, not the other way around. So whatever we're going to deliver in 4 weeks, I have an inventory of things that we're going to do. No matter what, I assure you, on a Monday, I'm going to show up and we're going to do the workshop kind of thing, right? And then I'll iterate it the next time, and then I'll look at what happened, and then I'll make it better. and all that good stuff. So you want to make sure you decide what you want to do, you set the date, come hell or high water, you meet the date. If you need to take scope out, you do it. Just make sure you design the cost, then do it, then modify it. Okay, very agile approach, but you'll get a lot of things done. And then the fifth and final thing I want to mention, I actually didn't teach you this in the productivity challenge. I did this today. If you're with me live in an email, I talked to you about energy. When it comes to energy, I want you to make sure that you are managing your intake and your agreements to requests, right? Solicitations for you, your dinner parties, your speaking engagements, your workload, right? Everything should automatically be, I think if you want to manage your energy, it's more helpful to make everything a no first. You don't have to blurt out no every single time, but at least think about it. I need a moment. Let me get back to you on that. Or no. A no to a yes is okay. A yes to a no is not okay. And you're usually more stressed out by the things you say yes to than the things you say no to. So from a commitments standpoint, one of the things that I do to manage my commitments is I use a very fast, quick run through of these 4 S's. Okay, self, social, skill, and service. And I would like to explain what that is. These are a little guideposts for me, signals, if you will, to let me know if this is something I want to take on. So the first thing that I do whenever a request comes to me, or whether even if it's an idea that I generated where I want to do something, I look at from my self perspective, is this something that I will enjoy? Is it something I want to do? Is it something that I will have total control over? It's not to say I won't do something I don't have total control over, but I want to know, am I dependent on other people? Could the schedule get shaken up? Am I waiting for somebody to do something that I'm going to need in order for me to complete my commitment? Whatever it might be, I look at how I'm affected first. Then I look at socially, I don't mean like social outing. I look at, is there a social element to what I'm doing? So for example, if my wife wants to do something, and she says to me, hey, I really want to run the turkey trot. Do you want to do this with me? While I might not want to do that for me, just for myself, if it's a way to support her and for us to do something together, I'm going to consider that greatly, because she's somebody I care. She's the person I care the most about, right? Or at least one of them in my life. Maybe it's friends you want to support. Maybe it's businesses you want to support. But is there a support service? Is there a support element to it? So I look at what that is and who that is that I'm supporting. Then the other thing is it a skill that I need to build in the short or long term to help me achieve my long-term goals, not short-term goals, but my long-term goals. And let me give you a great example. Almost on a daily basis, I'm not exaggerating for effect. Almost on a daily basis, I get an email, direct message, or some kind of request to do a speaking engagement on a stage, at an event, do a private webinar for a company, a community group, a college, you name it, right? All of these. So I look at, is that a skill I need to develop? Now, somebody could say, well, do you want to be a speaker? You could practice your speaking skills. And that would be true if that was my goal. But I've also have to look at, I only have so many hours in the day. I have to look at, if I get on a stage, what's that going to take? I might have to craft a speech from scratch. I'm going to have to travel, even if it's to Chicagoland downtown, or I might have to get on a plane and go to California or whatever. How am I going to use it? I'm going to have to get a videographer. I'm going to have to get a whole host of stuff. How many people am I going to reach? What can I do? And I have to go into several layers of whether is it a skill that I truly need to build? And I'm going to think about some of these other elements, but I have to think about multiple usage, because even though that's great, I have to look at that in relation to, I don't know how many people are on here right now. Okay, there's almost 100 people. I can get 100 of you right now, say this, and know that you chose me, there's a likelihood that we are going to have a stronger bond because you chose me, whether you're here with me live or you're watching this on a recording. But somebody who's asking me to do a 1-hour webinar for their team or their class or their whatever, well, all those people didn't choose me, and while they may benefit from that, I look at things like that. So I'm constantly looking at, well, do I need that skill? Now, if I need to practice my speaking skills, then yeah, that's great. But I also have to look at that in relation to, I can practice my speaking skills here, right, as well. So how many opportunities am I given to do that, and is that a skill I need, and is that an aspiration of mine? And there are many reasons to do these other things, but I'm just saying you got to have some kind of checks and balances and formula for determining whether you're going to agree to that or invite that into your life. And then the last thing is, what's the service component of it? So while the speech example, well, obviously I would be serving a lot of different people. The question is, well, can I serve more? Is there a better use of my time to serve more people, kind of thing? So I'm constantly looking at, is there an element to service? What is that element? And then how would I weigh that against my ability to serve in other capacities? So I go through this very quickly, or sometimes I may need to really think about it, depending on what the request is. And so, I had a request couple weeks back about, hey, I'm an executive producer at a blah blah show, a national cable network. Will you come on my, can we talk for a few minutes? I need to talk to you like in the next hour. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to break up what I'm doing at the possibility that this might turn into something. And even if I went on TV, it's not like it used to be where there's 3 news stations and everybody in the world is watching those 3, right? Kind of thing. You're constantly reevaluating these kind of things. But these are mine. Take what you like, make it your own, but have some way of determining your governing principles of what is important to you and what you're going to invite into your life. All right, let me just recap them quick. Idea gen comes from question asking. Identify your questions and keep asking yourself those questions on a daily basis. Quantity, in that case, is a leading predictor of quality of the ideas. The more of them you have, the greater the likelihood you're going to have a home run. Keys to running a great week: understand what's due now project-wise, understand the intermediary steps you need to do, understand the recurring and one-time elements as well as skill building, and then running your day. Don't jump into the frog. There's no need to ribbit, right? Get something going that is going to elevate your energy or requires a lot of energy when you have the most. Cue the environment, work the calendar, make sure you're eyeballing the transitions, and make sure to reflect. And then number 4, I want you to have an action bias for your projects, right? Decide what you're going to do, set the date, design to cost, keep the date where it is, work to the date, okay? And then what? Do it, and then you can always make it better. You can scale version 1.0, but you can't scale version 0, kind of thing. And then from an energy standpoint, have some ability to filter your requests, your commitments. Do this with yourself, even if no one's asking you to go speak, right? Kind of thing. These are mine. All right, so I hope you enjoyed those 5 tips. I hope that makes you more productive. If you are watching this on the recording, I hope you hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to the station, and I'll see you next week.